Hey everybody, I'm John Alite. I'm back again with the mob, the mafia, and the man. And Felix is back with me again for another show.
Back from my straightening out.
Straightening out.
I'm officially a made man.
And we got another guy, a
That's a
good
joke.
friend of mine, Brian Basho, Marine veteran, a good friend of mine. And he has his podcast, I Got You Six.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, man.
And yeah, look forward to having a little chat. You know, you're up from Florida. It's good to see you guys.
So you and I, this is the first time meeting. Obviously, I've heard because John's talked a lot about you. I guess for the people on John's channel that aren't familiar with your story, we give them a little lowdown.
Yeah. So as John said, I have a podcast right now. I was in the Marine Corps for 4 years. So I'll kind of just backwards into how I got into the podcast. I was in the Marines, did 4 years, 2 deployments, Afghanistan, infantry guy, 0311. From 2008 to 2012. And then got out, did the little transition. And it was a little rough, kind of battled some demons and, just like John talks about too, some PTSD stuff. And yeah, just from there, I just kind of started a podcast 2 years ago now. And just kind of talking about me. What am I doing now? Talking to other people, kind of hearing their stories and just kind of living in the now instead of the past, because, a lot of veteran podcasts are more like, oh, what I did 10 years ago, man. And it's like, it don't matter anymore, so. Yeah, so that's pretty much where I'm up now in the show I'm doing. And that's kind of how I met John.
So how'd you guys get introduced?
Man, how many years ago? I mean, it's...
That was during the pandemic, because it was right when Netflix Fear City came out.
Yeah, we did. I did your podcast a couple of times, and then I did with you, JD, and Uncle Steve on, what was the name of that podcast we did?
Soft Bad Monkey. You guys did, Monkey. You did up there. And we did that one probably September 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's been a while, yeah.
Yeah, we recorded that. That's a funny story. I thought John was gonna straighten me out because I showed up a little late from the little party the night before.
I know John's been straightening out everybody. His retirement is just him straightening out a bunch of guys. I'm kidding.
Listen,
kidding, FBI.
He tells me,
this is funny story.
It's funny when we go up there, right? So I'm up in the Bronx, and they tell me, oh, it's a cool spot, just park, and they tell me where to park, right? So I just had a hip replacement. This has to be the highest hill I ever seen.
I did the same thing first time up there, yeah.
And Uncle Steve's on the top, and I'm yelling up. He goes, do you need help getting up the hill? I'm like, if I don't make up the hill, I'm going to roll back down. It was so steep. I thought I was in Pittsburgh because those high hills.
A funny story, when I went to that studio the first time I met up with those guys, Soft Bad Monkey, shout out to Steve and JD, it was downpouring. I took the train in from Jersey City, and I didn't know where I was going. I was making lefts and rights, and it's in Washington Heights.
Yeah.
And I came in the first time I met him, just soaked. They're like, "Hi, I'm Brian." They're like, "Who the fuck's this guy?"
After that, I go see Steve in Jersey. We hung out in Jersey. We went diner, and then we all went to the football game.
Yeah.
What was it? The Jets and the Eagles, right?
Eagles, yeah, that was a
me,
good
you,
time.
and JD, and what's his name? He came with us.
Yeah.
Another dude, but we had the field level tickets. It was great. We had a good time.
Oh yeah, that was a good time.
That was a good time too.
Yeah, we're right on the field till the Eagles win. Yeah, that was free, that buffet and everything. Yeah, it was a good time, man. But yeah, no, we've John's always giving shout outs to I Got Your Six, which I appreciate, and we've been friends for 2 years now. So this podcast has kind of helped me connect with people that are like minded and people that are, helping me grow, helping each other grow. And, I couldn't be more thankful for the podcast and the people I met so far.
Were you ever scared of John when you first met him?
Are you kidding me? You know what work he put in? Seen a lot of action. Don't let that mug fool you. One thing, that's why we all got along. JD, Steve, him. Because these guys were action guys.
Yeah.
They weren't only in the armed forces. They saw a lot of action. Decorated and all that, and so they understood me. And when we talk about some of the demons, some of the dark stuff, when we're together, it's good to talk to somebody like this because we understand it, and it helped all of us.
Right. And the one thing too we talk about now is like just living now instead of the past. What are you doing now? There's a lot of veterans get stuck in the past and they want to talk war stories, but it's like you got to, in order to move on, you got to live in the present, And I think you talk about that too in some of your podcasts, John, is just kind of living now. You got to move on, look forward, and just kind of let it go, let the past go and learn from it.
But isn't part of also moving on though embracing like what you've been through?
Yeah, I went through what I went through, and what I don't do is I don't dwell on it, and the shit that happened, and obviously I took time to like kind of come to that grips, but I was just wasting so much time in life, where I was like, I was just like not here, I was just up in my mind, and it just kind of, and then it just takes a toll on you over time, and, you gotta like kind of not forgive, you just shit happens, and you gotta look forward, and that's kind of what I did. And with the podcast is just airing some shit out, talk about my demons, and get a little uncomfortable. Yeah, I mean that's kind of where I'm at now. I still have bad days. I'm human.
So it just for people to kind of better understand your story. So from '08 to 2012, you were where?
So '08 to 12, I went to boot camp. September of 2008. It's a funny story there. I had a hernia surgery right before boot camp, so I got an extra month at Parris Island. So before that, I was a bad kid. They call USMC. USMC stands for Uncle Sam's Misguided Children.
Oh wow.
So I went to military college before that, and then before military college, I went to reform school as a kid. I got like taken in the middle of the night to go to school in upstate New York called Ivy Ridge, which is now shut down. So I'll start from there and move on. So I kind of got introduced to like the structured life really early on. And so after Ivy Ridge, I was a bad kid, drugs, selling drugs, all that nonsense, not going to school. So my parents had to send me to reform school. They hired someone to come in the middle of the night in my bed, woke me up and go, "You're coming to this school."
How old are you?
17. And they took me up there. I was there for 2 months. I played the system, got out. Went back to high school, because I wanted to play football. Our team went to the state finals that year. And then I kind of went right down, I did go down a bad road again and went to Valley Forge Military College to play junior college football. And then a year and a half into there is where I called Brian's rock and roll tour. I came back from Christmas break, and I was a year and a half in, so I had 1 semester left to get my associates. I came back from Christmas break, and they have this list of demerits. I come in, guess who's at the top? Brian Basho, like hundreds. Like I wasn't even gonna leave campus.
Right.
And I look at it, I go, fuck this. Called up Mom, I go, I'm out of here. Got in my Nissan Altima, went to all my buddies' colleges, stayed on couches, couch surfed, lived a little college life. Came back home, and I was like, what am I doing? And that's when I enlisted. I walked in the Marine Corps recruiting station and was like, "Hey, I want to be infantry, only infantry." I'm like, all right. This is 2008 summer. And then right before I went to Parris Island, I found out I had a hernia surgery. So I got that done, and they were trying to rush me out. I went September. Got down there, I was out of shape. That was a wake-up call for me, man. I remember I got off the plane. You're down there, and the drill instructors picked you up at Savannah Airport. I'm sitting there, I got my phone out. This dude comes charging over. As soon as we got out of the tunnel, "Get over here, motherfucker!" And he takes my phone, just throws it right in the trash. And I was like, "Oh shit!" And it's from that day on, man. That was probably the best thing that happened is the Marine Corps. Just kind of it grows you up, and you realize you learn the team, you learn all good aspects that now carry on what I'm doing now with operations, leadership, and all that stuff. But it's definitely a challenge.
So are most of the other they're mostly kids that are with you?
Yes.
Like your age?
Yeah, so I went when I was, a lot of people were like 18. I was 20, so I was a couple years older, and you could tell the difference. I have somewhat, you can tell like guys that have been out, or a lot of guys went to college a little bit. So the oldest guy I was with was 28.
Wow. And so are they mostly like people like you that had kind of like, that were
Yeah.
trying to figure their way out? Like what kind of people are there?
There's a lot of parallels, even now in the podcast, how a lot of, like I said to Uncle Sam's Misguided Children, a lot of people that went in the Marine Corps have similar childhoods where they were, bad kids, and they just kind of were looking for something. Not everybody, but majority I found were people with like, they were going there because they wanted to get college. So they wanted, they didn't have family, so they went and found family in the Marine Corps. So there's a lot of different, paths leading there. But one thing I found is like kind of a troubled past or some kind of, and seeing how it sets a lot of people straight, especially me. I'm going to speak for me, but it was definitely a life changer.
Wait, so what's it? Because I really don't know much about this. That's why I'm interested
Yeah,
by
yeah.
it. Like what? Because you always see like these movies and stuff. You have
Yeah.
no idea like what how is the life like the boot camp different than what they might portray on some of these movies.
It's everything is movies is the movies. I mean, you probably see the mafia movies and whatnot, but they scream at you. I was there for, like I said, 17 weeks. It's usually 13 weeks. You go through different phases. I don't remember, like I talk about this. I don't really remember much from boot camp. It's weird. I do, but I don't. It's the highlights are like more like afterwards. Like after boot camp, I went to School of Infantry, which is like the MOS. It's your military occupation special, and I was 0311 rifleman. That's what it stands for. You get like the code. I went to School of Infantry, and I thought that sucked because people don't realize in North Carolina in February it's cold. And these all my instructors were the assault dogs coming back from Iraq. So
Right.
I was like the Afghan era. Right after Iraq, and that was more brutal, I think, than the hikes and the more you're learning the weapon systems and all that, and then I would say boot camp. I was there a longer time, but it was I think School of Infantry was probably at that time a little harder than boot camp.
So like what's the day-to-day look like?
So day to day, you get up. I don't know. I don't know what it is now. Probably 06. And you don't make your bed. Yeah, I mean, you sleep on top of your bed, and because you wake up, you scream, you got to go this line, and
So you just
I'm
wanna-
already, and so it's like you make your bed once, you sleep on top of it, and you're just like the first week there. I remember that they intentionally don't let you sleep.
Yeah.
So you're all distorted and this and that, getting all your gear. They're fucking with you the whole time. It's pretty hysterical when I look back on it, but it's a system and process that they've kept for years. I don't know what it is now. I hear things, but it's Marine Corps is very traditional. We went to classes during the day. Marine Corps is big on history and knowing. They teach you the history of the Marine Corps, the values, and they drill that in your head. You sit in the classroom and a couple of guys would be dozing off, and then the drill instructor would come running by because it's supposed to be quiet time and you're getting instructor teaching you in this like auditorium. A couple guys, they fall asleep because they're so tired. You can see all of a sudden you look across, see a drill instructor dragging them out, and then all of a sudden they come back in, they're covered. We call them a sugar cookie,
Right.
because they would sweat, and then all the sand, they take them to the sand pit, they come back all sweat because they just had, do burpees, do this, and so day to day, it was like PT, get some learning in, and then there's different phases throughout, like later, I don't know, phase 2 or phase 3, I don't know what it is now, I can't remember, but it's like rifle week where you learn how to shoot a rifle, and then after that is like, it's more like getting ready at the end, the uniforms, teaching all that stuff. So it's a lot of different phases, but I can't really remember, to be honest with you. That's crazy. But and then the last thing before you get your Eagle, Globe, and Anchor as a Marine is you go through the Crucible. It's like a 4-day thing, you like barely sleep, and then it's like maybe 9-mile hike back after you don't sleep, and then you get your Eagle, Globe, and Anchor at the Iwo Jima Monument at Parris Island, and your drill instructor gives it to you. That's like, you're a Marine now. So it's like a lot of tradition. They teach you the tradition.
That'd be a proud moment when they give you that and say,
Oh
you're a
yeah,
Marine
yeah.
now.
That's where it's like, holy shit. Especially too when I was like, I had to stay here another month.
Yeah.
Meant I was like, all right, now I'm part of something. You
Right.
know, it was a cool. And then from there on, you're like, I'm a fucking Marine.
Yeah.
And man.
Do they give you like any time off?
So I had 2 weeks off, in between, and they give you like recruiting assistance. Like I went and helped my recruiter out, but he was like, just go chill. So I had 2 weeks off. Then I flew back down to North Carolina to School of Infantry. And then after School of Infantry, I went to my infantry unit, 1st Battalion, 2nd Marines in Camp Lejeune, and did a work up there. And then we went to Afghanistan, part of the surge with Obama in 2010, to Musa Kala, Helmand Province. So I was there. Then you do 7 months. And then I got back, and we got back, we had a formation. They're like, oh, there's this unit, 1st Battalion, 6th Marines, that's getting ready to deploy. And my unit at that time wasn't going back. And they're looking for volunteers. I was like, all right. So I was like, a couple of us went over back. July so we got there October. I went back in July, and then I was a team leader there. We went to Sangin, and then got home in February of 2012, and then the Marine Corps at that time was downgrading. So I was like, I can't wait to get out of here. I did 2 deployments. I wasn't going to re-enlist. I thought about it. And I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm going to go enjoy life. So I got out. I was 24. So I got out June of 2012. And, I was down the shore. And then there's slowly, over time, I went and hiked the Appalachian Trail. So I was busy. And then I went to Monmouth University. And it was like, you know what I mean?
Why?
And it hit you?
Hit me because that's when I was in like a college university where I was like, all right, I went in the classroom. I just felt off, like I don't know what it was. And then I was like, I was just more by myself. I didn't try to connect to anybody at that time because I kind of had that veteran thing where I'm better than you kind of, just naturally, I started drinking a lot more. And then you almost get a separation anxiety because think about it. You're with your boys in the barracks, you're partying, you're in the field. They're everywhere. You're with each other 24/7. And then I got home. And then after the Appalachian Trail, I was like, oh, what do I do now? Like, and there's nothing wrong with me. I don't want to be weak, And it's like, and then it just builds up over time.
Well, let me ask you something. Let me go back for a second. Everybody asks me every time they talk, right? They talk to me about my violence. Like the first time. Do you remember the first time?
Oh yeah.
When you were going to step into that, and you okay?
So it was so we were doing QRF for a Charlie company. So
what's QRF?
Quick reaction force. So Charlie company was taking. We just got there. I think it was a couple weeks in, maybe first week. It was first week. I think. I don't know. Timelines are all as you get old. But they helo picked us up to drop us off on the side of a mountain because Charlie was take some casualties. Charlie company. I was in Bravo, and it was the first time I was like. And I'd say this all the time. I had dysentery. So right before that, I'm throwing up. And when you get to Afghanistan, everyone gets sick.
Right.
And it hit me then. And I'm like, oh.
Wait, why is that? And why is that?
Because the bacteria you're not used to. And it's like all this different, just everything so
stress,
different.
Nerves, everything.
Yeah. As soon as you leave the wire, when you first get there, your asshole's like, you're like, that's an IED. That's it. You're just like, and then, you're just very, you can't prepare. You can't prepare for it.
There is nothing to prepare for what you're going to face in violence and death.
You try to do everything. Watch the movies. You do everything, and you can't until you experience it. And it's fucking scary. It's adrenaline. It's a lot of different emotions that, over time it just becomes like you're just into it, muscle memory. But the first time was the QRF, Quick Reaction Force with Charlie. We got dropped off to the side of the mountain, and it was like we were just sitting there. We're on the side of the mountain. I have a couple pictures of it, and we're sitting there, and all of a sudden we hear fucking rocket. We're like, oh shit! And it's like this, that, and then there was just the gunfire and all that stuff. But it was like, I tell you this all the time. I was happy I had dysentery because I was like, just fucking shoot me at this point. You know what I mean? Like it was 120 degrees. I was dehydrated. I took some Modium, and it was just like, all right, it was a couple day op, and then it was just game on from there. So,
when you first see, and this doesn't involve me, it involved one of my friends, and for the guys that know me that listen to this, I've seen death before as a kid, right? Different people, but for some reason, Mikey Merlo was a guy that grew up with us, and I was at dinner in Long Island. I was in Middle Village Inn or some Mill Ridge Inn, I think it was, whatever the name it is. It was near Christmas, and they called me up that my friend just got shot. So I came back in front of the bar. We hung out at the White Horse, and the police were there, and they put a jacket over his head, and everybody was telling me, and I said I went over and I asked the cop, "Can I see him?"
Right.
And he says, "You don't want to see him. It just happened now." So there's crowds around him.
Just the natural, you're curious.
Yeah, if it's really him, he's dead. And, no one really looked yet to make sure it was him. And I asked him, and he said, "You sure?" And I said, "Yeah." And they lifted his jacket, and all you seen was, be graphic, and I hope his family's not listening to this. His head was blown off with a shotgun. So people, you could talk about it, right? And, we've discussed this, and people can't imagine it unless they're involved in it. Even as a shooter, unless you're sitting there up close and personal and seeing stuff like this. And somewhere when you're very, when you really talk like this and we discuss this stuff, outsiders can't comprehend this. But when you started getting accustomed to this on a constant basis, because this is one of the first ones that really hit home close. But then, like you said, it's almost like muscle memory, and you're just used to it now. Unfortunately, you're used to it, and that's the bad part, because you should never get used to something like this. And then when you start getting used to this stuff, and you guys that were being deployed, and this is, why I talk so highly of you guys, because other people that don't understand it just take it for granted.
Right.
Because putting yourself in that position where you could lose your life any second and watch death every second, every day, over and over again is got to cause PTSD for most.
Well, yeah, that's that's why that's still this day I'm hyper aware of things, but I don't think that's a bad thing. But it's
Well, things move so fast, but yet so slow. Like John Tick said that when I interviewed him on Benghazi.
Yeah. Yep.
Things slow down even though they're moving so fast.
Feels like days.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Now a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp.com. BetterHelp has helped me through some of the situation in my life. As long as therapy, for the last 30 years, I've been in therapy because of all the things I've seen through my life, all the problems I've had, the anxieties, the stress. Therapy's helped motivate me to get up in the morning, to continue on and go out and overcome some of the problems I had in my life. I believe in therapy, and I really believe in BetterHelp. You have video chat, you have phone, you have online. It's very accessible. You can get an appointment within 48 hours. It's very convenient. It's in your house. Anytime you feel stressed, you pick up the phone, and you can have a conversation and get through your daily problems and your daily life and your routine. To me, BetterHelp is the convenience of the modern day therapy that you need. Our listeners can get 10% off. You go to betterhelp.com/Alite and you get 10% off. That's BetterHelp, HELP, for 10% off. Thank you, everybody.
Do you feel like there should, like, it's because you guys are so young when you're seeing things like this?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you feel like in retrospect there should be like maybe like an age minimum or something?
No.
You don't think so?
No, because it makes. No, I think 18. I don't really have more pain. I just think it is what it is. But that's those are still young days. You're 18 to 22 years old. You're still developing.
Right.
So I'm thankful for being, as I would say, like just being raised in a warrior culture in the Marine Corps. Because I think I have, the things I value are a lot different than someone that just went to a college, or nothing against that, but I just feel like I have, in that kind of culture, it's like you talk shit, you get hit, and it's just like, it's just the real alphas, in that culture where it's, I'm thankful for that. And I think that it develops men, and it develops men that,
But you're going to grow up fast after that.
Oh, yeah, you do.
And I think that age development, like anything else, learn to swim young.
Yep.
Because there's no fear. Learn to go into your situations. There is really not the fear factor. As you get older, you start to try to, if you're not used to it.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's like anything else. Put somebody in a ring with a fighter, and, an MMA fighter, UFC fighter, a boxer, and they could talk when they're out the ring.
Right.
Until they step in the ring.
Yeah.
Because it's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
And I think that age gives you I don't want to use the courage, but to go forward a lot quicker.
Right.
Then as you get older, you start saying, wait a second, I'm going up that mountain. I'm not going to jump. That's a little high. But when you're younger, you don't have that same belief. I think that's why they bring you in at those ages. Like the street, you recruit young.
Yeah, it's like right now, it's like, it's just you're, I'm thankful for things, that you go through as experiences. I'm just grateful for the little things, and I think, as you said too, there's a lot of people that are ungrateful for things, and I'm just thankful for things I have, and I don't think about things I don't have, and it's just I probably learned that in the Marine Corps, just kind of going through those experiences, and wouldn't change for anything. But it's definitely I'm without the Marine Corps, I wouldn't, like I said before earlier on, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. Just working for a tech company, running a team of engineers. I'm not a developer, but the operations and leadership taught me how to do all that in stressful conditions.
So then you went back to school after, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I haven't finished my degree.
Okay.
So I went to online school, and I was like, I was working. So after the mom, I was like, I'm done with school. I can't I can't fit in, And I went and did manual labor for an ironworking company. Did that, and then I was doing online school, and I was like, you know what, I'm just wasn't in the school, and it just wasn't for me. And got an entry level job at a tech company, and just with what the Marine Corps taught me is just the operations, the leadership, and it just kind of took it from there. And yeah, that's where I'm at.
Do you feel like the system here in this country, or what is your gauge on the system here in this country on how like veterans can then, when they come back, like integrate back into society?
So it's a different era now. Before me was the Iraq guys, so we had kind of them to lean on, and the Iraq guys didn't have anything. A lot of the stuff in the Afghan war, like my generation was like learning from like guys like JD and all those guys that were the first ones going to combat, like in that the invasion in a while. But right now, I think there's a big presence on social media. There's a lot of vets out there. It has its good and bad, like anything. Good people and bad people, but it's a lot more with social media. I think it's more connected now. Mm-hmm. And it's come a long way. When I got out, it was you do this 2-day class, and it was like how to write a resume. We didn't talk about anything about mental health or anything. It was like, all right, we're out. Yeah. Now it's very big. From what I read and understand is they're very big on it. Mental health now is like more of an open thing than it was 10 years ago when I got out. And now it's like more of a common, generals are involved, and
they didn't address it the way they do now.
Yeah, no, and you got to think about before Iraq was the Vietnam guys and World War II. These guys, think about it, they lived their whole life with it without
any help, right?
Right, and it's wild.
Yeah.
What do you do? Like, say those bad days that you guys are talking about. Like, what do those look like, and like what are those thoughts that you guys have, I guess, for the both of you?
Do something like we always do. We joke about it.
Yeah.
We call
Gotta
each
laugh.
other. We laugh. We joke.
Like, what could prompt like a bad day, for
anything
example?
could prompt it. I don't. With me, anything does sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, you just kind of wake up. You're fucking just having the blues. It's there's things. There's some like anything, man. Life's tough. You gotta battle with it. And I think that I have people I can call. The one thing that's great is just being hearing from a Marine buddy I haven't talked to in a while, or talking to John or someone that just to change things up during the day. Do something to change up the baseline of that day. Always does something to kind of help me get back and kind of rethink, because sometimes you just go down a rabbit hole and think, this is a shitty day.
You know what's cool though, and this. There's a couple of different people that got in touch with me, the Marines. I can't relate the same way to him, but he can, and I would give his number to them for you to talk to, and whether he realizes it, I think you do now.
Yeah,
you're saving a lot of guys that were talking some crazy shit about checking out. So when you have the ability to know that you can help some of them, it gives you more reason to wake up the next day. So there's a guy that just got in touch with me recently about his brother. His brother's struggling. And I just got him in touch with another guy, and I told him he could call me. So those are some of the things but yet it happens to us too. We call each other. Mm-hmm. So that's just part of it. There's a lifeline out there for you somewhere that can relate to you.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of resources out there.
In your experience about yourself, and then also like the other Marines that you talk to, like, is it mostly, are those bad days prompted by like thoughts or flashbacks of when you were serving?
It'd just be thoughts, Some days I just wake up and I'm just not feeling today, or something, or something just piles up. Work was shitty, and then all of a sudden something at home goes shitty, and then it's like, all right, then I'm, then I start thinking, oh, this is shitty.
But do you relate that to when you were serving, like, or is it there, or do you also find that sometimes like things are just completely like mutually exclusive?
Well, they all have like a parallel. Something always connects to something in the past. But it's depression. You have your days where you think about stuff back in the day, but it's not like flashbacks where I'm like, jumping on the ground and rolling around. But it's just you kind of think about, anniversaries or stuff like that. And, you think about that person, you kind of, think about some memories and, some things will, sometimes smell. Smells will remind you some things. And, but, you try to focus, and I go to therapy, is just focus on the good, the good you had with those guys, and thankful that you're here and they want you to live a good life. And, and that's our service to them to do that. So it's, so things in that nature, but it's,
I'm thinking about flashbacks for your birthday. Was it 2 or 3 years ago when we were?
Oh, jeez.
We were, and then we end up with your
hammered.
stepdad and drinking and singing, and we got hammered. We went everywhere.
I was hungover for 5 days.
Oh my God. His dog went to the bathroom in the house.
Oh,
yeah, not his house, his mom's house. And I said, I'm investigating. It might not be the dog.
She doesn't know this. Remember, I pulled the bed over so left it down. But yeah, that was a good. We recorded a podcast today, but we drank.
Oh yeah, we drank that
too much.
podcast.
We were speaking Chinese. I saw it. I go, I can't release this. I don't even know what we're saying.
We thought we were good that day.
Cheers and I was like, this is terrible.
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Like we're all.
We were on a roll. We were going for like 16 hours.
Yeah.
Maybe longer than that.
Yeah. John called me on Monday, and I'm like, I'm in bed. It's like 5 o'clock.
Yeah. I lost a day or two there.
Yeah. When every time I drink whiskey, that's a flashback right there.
Oh my God. What was the name of that bottle? I have it in my cabinet because we drank it all, and I said, "Oh, this is a good bottle." It's Redemption.
Redemption.
That was it. It was a whiskey.
I'm good on Redemption. I'm good on Redemption.
We kept drinking Redemption.
Yeah, finish the bottle.
We finished that bottle and some. That was just one bottle.
We had martinis.
We had everything.
Yeah, we went and had.
We had a couple bottles of martinis and then beer and.
I woke up. I'm like, how am I at my mom's right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is that was a party. Yeah, we definitely get. I was on the way over here. I'm like, yeah, you want to get some whiskey? And I know he's probably like, hell no.
I got one more meeting.
Yeah,
I said, no, that'll stop.
It won't stop.
Yeah.
What I'm curious of your opinion on it too is like, what do you think this country does really well with its veterans after they're like done serving, and then maybe like ways that they could improve?
So what I know is when I was in, so I only speak of that. One thing that would be good is when you get out, what would help is finding a tribe, and it kind of helps me now, is you got to find, it's not every veteran you're going to connect with every veteran. It's finding those people that you connect with, that you can share, like the Uncle Steve's, the JD's, John, and you just got to connect with people. And I say this too, it's like, not every veteran you're going to like, as a veteran. It's just like people, you're just not going to click with some people. And you got to find that tribe, and you can't sit back and, wait for it to happen. I found it through the podcast and getting out there and getting a little uncomfortable and talking, and it's, you get what you give. I put out, stuff that I was going through, and I got back, good people and good connections, and I'm able to talk about shit. And that's how I look at it, is the tribe is, and mentorships. Mentors are good when you get out, because it's a total transition of lifestyles. And if you have that mentor, if I know someone that's going on, but yeah, this is kind of what I went through, and that's what I do with the podcast, is so people can hear it, and what I went through, maybe someone can listen and be like, oh, I went through that same shit. Mm-hmm. And then maybe it could stop them from doing some stupid shit that I did. So that's just the tribe and mentorships. I think tribe is the biggest thing.
What about for you? Like,
same thing. I joke around, and I say about the mob guys before we were hanging around the street. Everybody likes the street because of that camaraderie. Whether you're young guys in gangs or you're mob guy in the armed forces, you connect with the guys because in the street, you're from those same neighborhoods. Yeah. So everybody really relates to each other. So it's unlike what anybody's saying. I never go for that crap about color and religious. If you're from that same hood, you can relate to them. So you're going to get along with them. You're going to laugh with them. You're going to have the same kind of humor, same thing. So you need to find that bowling team that ain't a bowling team. I use bowling team as as a metaphor.
You weren't part of bowling teams.
Yeah, I mean, you got to get those group of guys that you can connect with without the shit that comes with it.
Well, I think what's also interesting with like the mob guys is like it's a difficult. it's a difficult integration back into society too when you're trying to like stay away from it, you know? Because like I think this is what I think the government doesn't do a great job of specifically with you guys. Well, probably like all criminals, but specifically with the mob ones is they take everything from you, and then when they release you back into society, they say like, you know, kind of like, okay, go and be normal. But it's like
That's like the military.
Exactly. It's like exactly. It's like these are they're very extraordinary people.
Right.
And so like, how do you expect people that are not ordinary to then have an ordinary life and not get in trouble or not whatever, you know? I'm speaking about the mob guys.
Well, again, like he said, you got to find that group of guys. Like here's an example. There's veterans out there that he knows that he's not going to relate to because they didn't do the same or see the same things he did. And the same with me, with different street guys and mob guys. I don't have the same respect for a lot of them because they give that belief to these young kids that they're out there doing that, and they didn't. And they just play that image off, and those are the guys I can't relate to. So
You know.
you know,
recognize real.
It's like all of us when we talk, we all get along because we know what everybody has seen
And
or done.
it's not even you have to say anything.
Yeah, you don't have to say no.
You just know. You just have this vibe.
You just do know. You know what it is. And, you know, so I think it's just niching with those same right guys that you feel comfortable with, just away from what we used to do. Right? I mean, like I said, you got to find that group. And how do you find that? You got to be proactive to look for those guys that are positive. And I'm not talking about negative, talking bullshit about the past. I'm talking about positive now and doing the right thing now, what happened in the past. Because you can't change the past. You can only change the present and the future.
It's a tough thing though too. I think even like just trying to make a living for you guys, like you specifically, you know, like because you're used to doing it the illegal way.
Yeah, I mean, you can go out and make money illegal quickly if that's what you want to do. But if that's the path you're on, then it's the wrong path again. That's the short way. That's not going to last. And anybody that knows that I talk to, or you know, when I'm constantly out here, is because I know the end up. You're going to pay.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like depositing money in a bank. You're going to pay with your life somewhere. So it just doesn't work that way. You got to just, you know, do the right thing. And it seems like the longer path, but it's actually the shorter path in the end up.
Yeah. No, it's for veterans, like, do they help you when you get out in terms of getting jobs? Like, how's that work?
Yeah, there's tons of resources now that help you. You know, there's so many nonprofits. There's a ton of veteran nonprofits. Companies now are hiring for veterans, but I found too it's but it when I was looking for a job during the COVID and whatnot, it was what I found is some companies do get scared of that combat vet.
Really? Why?
PTSD and you know, there's so much. It's all bullshit because it's actually, you know, someone that's been through that. You know, he has post-traumatic growth, and or, you know, there's a lot of positives out of it. But you know, some people get scared of that veteran. That's, you know, because of how the media portrays. Oh, he's a crazy veteran, you know, and does this, but it's so false. But I think we need to look more towards, you know, just combat vets specifically jobs. I think because then you factor in the college and the officers, they're veterans, the guys that were radio guys. It's you know, focus on some of the combat vets. But there's a lot of programs out there though.
Interesting. Would you say that like most of the people that from your time that you are still in contact with, like how do you feel like they've adjusted in their lives?
Yeah, I mean, it's some guys talk about it, some don't. You know, some people just are still kind of, you know, they just the way they are. They keep it to themselves, and some guys are, you know, everyone, you know, there's been some suicides, the people I know. But it's hard to tell, man. The happiest guy in the room could be the saddest.
Right.
You know, it's so hard to tell. Yeah. So I mean, some days it's like, you know, you hear about, you know, so and so killed himself, and it's like, wow, he just looked like he was just having, you know, a good time. That came out of nowhere, and it's hard to find signs at some of these guys, you know.
Man, it's crazy.
Yeah. Because people cover it well.
Right.
Yeah.
You think you know somebody, really, you don't. People know each other with surfacely unless they're really tight.
Right.
And even then, If they're not tight and they're an introverted, they don't tell you what's going on in their heart. So, I mean, I've always brought up my friend Brian that when I was away, I was talking to him, and he tried to kill himself, and then he got better. He was joking, hung up the phone with me, and killed himself. And I would have never thought you have that conversation when I thought he was good.
It's wild.
Yeah. So you just never know.
And that'll dig on your conscience, because what you're doing is they're passing on all their pain to everybody else, you know?
Hey, where's our baseball bats to get off this? Are they up there? There they are.
It's your baseball bats.
Those were those were with us when we were on that whiskey run.
Yeah.
With the door, and
I had to
fell
change
out.
Is that one yours? Oh, it's mine. Well, let's not
Don't
say
be
it like
hitting
that.
anybody with no bats. Those are just a sign. Felix.
I play baseball. I don't know what you're talking about.
All right.
Is there? I don't know what else are you? I don't know what you guys have covered in your previous shows. So I don't want to sound repetitive.
No,
Just staying positive
Just,
and
just
stay with
joking
it.
around and talking about just positive energy and doing the right thing with your life. And if anybody that's out there, whether by the way, I got your shirt on.
Yeah.
Anybody take that look? But if you need anything or anybody, they can go to his site. How do they find you?
So on Instagram, it's at IGY6 Podcast, and then my personal one's at Brian Basho.
And everybody knows where to find us, right? JohnAlite.com on my website. Bats are there, books are there, mugs are there, Felix is there, and my Instagram, True John Elite. So everybody knows how to find us. Stay positive. If anybody needs anything, they know that you write us on Instagram or websites, and we get back in touch for sure. And the message is always the same: stay in the right path. Life's not easy.